How many of y'all were here last week for our first week of Storytellers? Was that not an encouraging word from Kyle Cox? Man, he is such a phenomenal man of God, and I'm privileged to know him. But we're excited this week. We have a special guest with us. His name's Tyler Light, and he comes from right here at Faith Family Church. And before I get to let Tyler come up here and share his stuff, I have to tell him the story of how we met, man. I have the honor and the privilege of introing him, and part of that means I get to tell you guys about how I met Tyler. And so about 3 years ago, was it 3? Yeah. Precisely. 3 years ago, we had met playing basketball. We were playing basketball here at the church, and this is the first time that I've even seen Tyler before. And I was like, hey, Panch, bro, who's that guy? I don't know who that guy is. Who is he? And he was like, oh, bro, that's Tyler. And I was like, I don't care who Tyler is. I'm just kidding. Relax. You guys are dead tonight. Wow. Come on. Who's excited to be here? I'm trying to warm him up for you, man. But anyway, I looked at Tyler. I'm like, that guy's a scrub. I'm just kidding. I looked at him and I'm like, wow, he's really big. He could probably beat me up. and then I went over and I introduced myself. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm Austin. He's like, hey, I'm Tyler. And I was like, oh, yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. And then Josh was like, hey, man, you do know that he's like a professional golfer, right? And I was like, really? He's a professional golfer? So the entire night I was walking around. I'm like, hey, guys, he's a professional golfer. And everyone was like, all right, chill, relax. I was like, guys, I know a professional golfer. It's cool. It's exciting. All right, not that exciting. Cool. But man, no, honestly, Tyler is a phenomenal guy. He's a true man of God, but I've been privileged and honored to know him for the 3 years that we've known each other. But why don't you all stand up to your feet, give it up for Mr. Tyler Light as he brings his story to the stage.
Thank you. Nice. It's been a while since I've been up this late. This is nice, getting this rowdy crowd. This is good. Storytellers. I'm going to give my story. Like Austin said, my name is Tyler Light. I'm 27 years old. Graduated from Malone University in 2014. Yeah, pioneers. Graduated from Perry High School in 2009. Perry guys, all right. I grew up in church. I've been a Christian my entire life. I have an amazing family. An awesome mom and dad kept me in church. Got saved when I was 7 years old, Vacation Bible School. Back in the day, yeah, VBS. But I knew at an early age what I wanted to do, and that was to play professional golf. My first 9 holes was when I was 3 years old. Went out and played 9 holes, shot 63. I was like, all right. Well, I knew from that point on I wanted to play. And I remember in 5th grade, my teacher asked me, hey, Tyler, what do you want to do when you grow up? I said, I want to play professional golf. And he kind of chuckled. He goes, no, what do you really want to do? I said, I want to be a golfer. He looked at me and he was like, do you know what the odds are of you playing professional golf? And I was like, no, I don't care. He said, you got to pick something else. You're not going to make it. And I remember from that moment on, I'm allowing that to be my fuel, be my fire, to push me and to allow me to keep going, to keep digging, to keep going after it. So I get into high school, still wanting to be professional. Remember when I turned 16 is when I got my license. I kind of started falling away from the Lord and started doing some things that wasn't right, and I knew it wasn't right. It wasn't drinking, it wasn't partying, but it was just girls. Girls really screwed me up and making bad decisions and just doing bad things, just not being a godly guy, and still going to church, and I'd be there every Sunday, and went to Malone, decided to play golf there. And I went to Malone because it's a Christian college. And it's like, okay, I'm going to surround myself with Christian people. That'll push me to go to where I want to go. That'll push me to be closer to the Lord. Well, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, you got to be careful. Sometimes Christians can even pull you away from the Lord. And that's kind of what happened to me at Malone. Got involved. I remember my sophomore year, I actually tore my lateral meniscus in my knee and had surgery. I was kind of down on myself. So I turned to partying, I turned to drinking, I turned to girls. I was like, man, this is great. I love college. But I knew it was wrong. And I think Paul said in the New Testament, he says, I always want to do what's right, but I always do what's wrong. And that's where I was. But I was still going to church. I was still there every Sunday. I would go to Love is Red. I went to the camps. But I was going through the motions. I was always at church, but I was not in church. And there's a difference. I wasn't getting involved. I had a very poor relationship with the Lord. Graduated 2014. Wanted to play professionally, so I moved to Myrtle Beach. I immediately moved to Myrtle Beach. I didn't pray to God and ask him for direction. I didn't ask him what I should do. I just said, I'm out. I want to play all year round, so I'm out. And at the time, I was in a relationship with a girl, and it was unhealthy, and was down there trying to make it, trying to grind, and decided, you know what, I want to play on PGA Tour Canada. And the PGA Tour Canada is an affiliate of the PGA Tour, and it's just go on the tour. You travel all summer long, go across the entire country. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a great opportunity. So how this works is that there's a qualifying school. There's 4 different sites across the entire country. You sign up, 150 guys at each site. They take the top 12 at each site. So I go out to California, I'm playing the qualifier. I finish in 4th place. I'm like, all right, we're going to Canada. And I remember thinking, like, you know what? God, you're so good. You've blessed me. I haven't been living right, but you're still good. I'm gonna live for you up there. I'm gonna do it. Go up to Vancouver, British Columbia, very first tournament. I finished close to last place. I was like, yeesh. That's when immediately I went right back to drinking, right back to partying. And it was because I didn't have a strong foundation. I wasn't in the Word. I wasn't standing on God's rock. I wasn't there. So anytime a storm came by, it blew me away. You see, drinking, partying, girls, that was my temporary medication. When the Word needs to be your eternal restoration. And I had a poor relationship. So anytime something bad happened, I would turn to drinking. That's just what I did. Played the entire summer up there. And it was pretty much a failure. I played terrible. I was miserable. Didn't have fun. But I still wanted to play. I still wanted to keep going. Still wanted to keep grinding. So that winter, I had to make some money to continue to my golf career. And I worked at a sawmill. It was about an hour drive from my house. It was from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. So I had to wake up about 4:30 in the morning, get there and start throwing wood around and head home. So I did that throughout that winter time, and that was a great opportunity for me to get into the church, to get involved, to build my relationship. I didn't take advantage of it. I continued to party, continued to drink, continued to hang out with the wrong crowd, continued to take advantage of girls and manipulate girls. It just wasn't good. Wasn't good. That spring, wanted to get back up to Canada because I wasn't done up there. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get back at it. You know what, God? I'm going to do it for you this time. Again, I thought I could like flip a switch and just automatically just start living for God. So go through the same qualifying process. This time I finished in 5th place. So I'm back up to Canada. I'm like, okay, come on. This is my time. I can do it. I can do it. I got this. Very first tournament up there, again, finished close to last place. I'm like, what in the heck is going on? And again, because I had such a poor foundation, I went right back into the same crowd where I was the year prior, drinking at the bars, partying. The next tournament, it was in Kelowna, British Columbia. I, again, played very poorly. And I remember I was at a guest house. I remember I was in their basement by myself, and I remember just completely surrendering to God. I just said, God, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. Your will, not my will. Your way, not my way. Show me what to do. I don't know what to do anymore. And as soon as I said that, God put it on my mind to pray a prayer that I've never prayed before. And it wasn't about my career, it wasn't about my family, it wasn't about my finances. I said, Lord, I need a good girl to come into my life. I need a woman. Lord, I want to meet my wife. I want to meet my wife. And a couple days later, he put my now fiance on my mind. We're getting married this summer. Not only did God give me that, but he also gave me a word. He said to go home. Go home. And I was like, no, I can't go home. Like I spent my entire life, my entire career to play on the PGA Tour Canada, and I get to travel. I'm going to take over. I can do this. Lord, just let me be up here. He said, no, go home. Go home. I said, all right, I'll do it. So I took that step of obedience, that step of faith. And on the other side of every step of obedience is a blessing. It's riddled throughout the entire Bible. Every blessing, every miracle required a step of obedience. John chapter 9, when Jesus healed 2 blind guys, he picked up some clay, spit on it, turned it into mud, put it on their face, and instead of just taking his robe and wiping it off them saying, be healed, he said, no, go over there, wash off in that pond, and then you will see. So those 2 took a step of faith. They walked over there, washed off, and they could see. John chapter 2, when Jesus turned water into wine. They had these big empty jars, and instead of Jesus just poofing wine into the jars, he said to people, he said, hey, I need you to fill this up with water. And these are 30-gallon jars, so these are enormous. Fill it up to the brim. Not only fill it up halfway, fill it up to the brim. Like, okay, God, whatever you say, whatever you say. So they filled it up and turned water into wine. Joshua chapter 6, I believe is what it is. The Israelites marching around the walls of Jericho. God told Joshua to march. And these people are warriors. They want to fight. So when God told Joshua, no, you need to march. Okay. So they marched for 6 days, and then they marched again on the 7th day. On the 7th day, those walls fell. And what's great about that story, what I love about that, is that the previous 6 days before the walls fell, there was no sign of progress. It wasn't like the walls started to crumble a little bit that they could see, oh, it's starting to crack, let's just keep going. No, there was no sign of progress. So guys, just because you're not seeing progress in your life, just because you're not seeing any change, does not mean that change is coming. Does not mean that a miracle is coming. So I went home, and gave me the opportunity to build a relationship with her, gave me the opportunity to build a relationship with the Lord. Saw a new golf coach, new swing coach. And what's great about Rach, what's great about her is that she actually pushed me to take that final step. See, Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and live righteously, and he'll give you everything you need. See, for the previous 9 years, I was doing it my way. I wasn't seeking God first, but she pushed me to take that final step. So that summer was really good. It was great. That fall, I wanted to qualify for the web.com tour, and that's a step below the PGA Tour. It's the same qualifying school, same concept. So I signed up for a golf course down in Texas, and I lived there for a short time, and I knew the golf course really well, knew it like the back of my hand. So I got a new golf swing. I'm ready to roll. I have a relationship with the greatest woman alive. I have the best relationship with God that I've ever had. I can't be stopped. This is going to be great. So I go to Texas, and they take the top 20. I finished in 65th. I failed. But because this was my foundation, the Word was my foundation, I didn't go back to drinking. I didn't go back to partying. I was able to rest and say, Lord, you know what? It's your will, man. Not my will. It's your will. You saw this coming. You're not surprised. This is your will. So the first time in my life, I came home, and the first time, I said, you know what? Maybe golf isn't for me. Because since the time I was 3 years old, it said, I'm going to be a golfer. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So God works best with a moving vehicle, so you have to stay moving. So that's what I did. I decided to move, decided to try different avenues. I mean, maybe God has something else planned for me. So I tried to get involved with an after-school organization called Sports World, and it's an organization where ex-professional athletes go into schools, give a message of hope. It's like, man, I can get involved in that. I like that. Got to know the CEO really well, and he's a great man of God. And go through the interview process, and he looks at me, he goes, hey, Tyler, we'd love to bring you aboard. We'd love to, but you're not done with golf. You're not done yet. It's like, okay, well, all right. So I tried different avenues still. I was still trying to move, like, oh, well, maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about. But every avenue I went, every door I tried to go through, it led me back to golf. It's like, all right, guess we're going to do this. So had to, again, raise money through that winter and decided to work at UPS. I worked a midnight shift, throwing boxes around. So I would work midnights, and then during the day, I would work on my golf game. I would develop a relationship with her. Not only that, but I began to serve at King's Church with Pastor Noah. I was part of the children's ministry up there. Springtime rolls around, and decide to sign up for the U.S. Open. And the U.S. Open, it's kind of like the NBA Finals. I mean, it's the pinnacle of the golf world. I mean, you have the Masters, which is like right there. That was just on, if you all watched that. 2 people. So you have the Masters, and then you have the U.S. Open. So it's right there. So I'm like, man. And anybody can sign up and play in it. It's $200. You just sign up and play. They have a local qualifier and then a sectional qualifier. And there's probably 120 sites for the local qualifier. Each site has about 150 guys. And at my site, it was in Columbus. They took the top 7. I finished second. I'm like, oh, okay, one more step. We're almost there. Get to sectionals down in Cincinnati. Now this time I'm going up against guys that are ranked like 70th in the world, 100th in the world. Like, these guys are pretty good. They have 120 guys. They took the top 4, and when I got done, I was in 4th place. I'm like, okay, all right. 20 minutes later, guy comes in, beats me by 1 shot, puts me in 5th place. So close, 1 shot. But again, because I had a solid foundation in the Word, because I knew what God's plan was for my life, because I was able to rest in His promises, I was okay. My friends were there, my grandpa was there, they're all upset, which rightfully so, they should be, but I was like, you know what, it's okay, God's plan, it's all right, it's okay, it's okay. So we go to rallies, get a burger, milkshake, I'm relaxing, like this is okay, it's all right. My caddy, looking on his phone, he goes, hey, Tyler, you're in a playoff for the first alternate spot. And the first alternate spot is essentially if someone at the U.S. Open were to drop out, I would take his place. So I'm thinking, there ain't no way someone's going to drop out of the U.S. Open. This doesn't matter. So we go back to the golf course. I'm like, okay, I just kind of go through the motions. I end up winning the playoff. And then 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from the director of the United States Golf Association. They say, is this Tyler Light? I say, yes, sir. He said, Tyler, I just want to let you know that you're playing in the 117th United States Open. All right. We serve a good God. We serve a faithful God. We serve an Ephesians 3:20 God. Now glory be to God through His mighty power at work within us, is able to give us infinitely more than we may ever ask or even think. Not only did I qualify for the US Open, but after the first round, I was in 5th place. I was on the leaderboard. That's my last name right there. I would have never have imagined that that could actually happen. End up playing on the weekend. I made the cut, which meant I made a nice check, which meant that I was able to buy her the biggest, fattest diamond ring that she deserves. Serve a good God. Serve a good God. Serve a good God. Man, sorry. What's so funny about that entire process is, like, I was at the US Open, but only a couple months prior, I was ready to quit. I was on the brink of having a breakthrough, and I almost quit. I remember having a conversation with Austin and Josh. I said, hey, if nothing happens this year, I'm done. Sure enough, God showed up in the biggest way. See, if it wasn't for what failures I had in Canada, none of this would have happened. I would not be here right now. I would not be with her. I would not have had the successes I've had in my golf career. But what we think is rejection is simply God's redirection. What we think is rejection is simply God's redirection. See, God is a big God. At the US Open, I beat the #1 player in the world. I beat the #4 player in the world. God was bigger than the #1 player in the world. God is bigger than your home life. God is bigger than the guy that broke your heart. God is bigger than the girl that broke your heart. God is bigger than your sickness you have. God is bigger than the depression. God is bigger than your anxiety. God is bigger. God's a good God. He's a faithful God. There's one passage in the Bible that I want to go to real quick. Who has their Bibles? Bring your Bibles. Material, beautiful, beautiful, nice. Matthew chapter 20, verses 29 through 33. As Jesus and the disciples left the town of Jericho, a large crowd followed behind. 2 blind men were sitting beside the road. When they heard that Jesus was coming that way, they began shouting, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." "Be quiet," the crowd yelled at them. But they only shouted louder, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." When Jesus heard them, he stopped and called, "What do you want me to do for you?" "Lord," they said, "we want to see." Jesus felt sorry for them and touched their eyes. Instantly they could see, and then they followed him. There's 4 points in this story, in this passage, that I want you to take from this. 4 points. Point number 1, it's those people persevered. They pushed through that crowd. There's going to be times where people are telling you to be quiet, times people telling you to shush, you don't do that, stop it. No. When people tell you to shh, quiet down, you yell louder, "Lord, have mercy. Lord, help me." Surround yourself with people that don't shush you, but push you to Jesus. They say, "Hey, come on, Jesus is right around the corner. Come on, he's right here. Come on, I know the way. Come on." Surround yourself with those people. If you're in a relationship right now that's taking you away from Jesus, get out of it. If you're involved in some activities that's taking you away from Jesus, get out of it. Point number 2, don't compare. You see, when I was working at UPS and I was working at the sawmill, throwing wood around, I had to stop following some people on social media because I was following my friends that were on the PGA Tour, that were on the web.com tour. And I'm sitting here thinking, "God, why aren't you blessing me? I'm the one that's been in church my whole life. They haven't even been in church. Why aren't you blessing me?" You see, these people in the story, if they would have compared, they would have saw that Jesus is paying, well, not see because they're blind. They would have heard that Jesus is paying attention to other people around them except for them. Even though that these blind people were in the right place at the right time. They're right on the brink of a miracle, a healing miracle. But if they would have compared, they would have walked away and they would have never received what God had intended for them. Point number 3, tell Jesus what you want. Now think about this. Jesus asks two blind people what they want. Jesus, do you think they want sunglasses? What do you think they want, Jesus? They want to see. Why did Jesus ask them, what do they want? Because Jesus wants you to ask for help. And nowadays, it's really hard to ask for help. Really hard. It's really hard to go to Austin and say, hey man, I'm struggling. I need prayer. I'm struggling with depression. I'm struggling with drinking. I need help. Jesus wants you to ask for help. 4th point. There's 4 words at the end of this passage. 4 words. Then they followed him. Yeah. Then they followed him. We serve a good God. When you take that step of obedience, you're going to get blessed. It's the way it works. What's the best way to worship God? The best way to worship God is with how you walk in your life. Romans 12, 1-2 says, don't be transformed, or don't conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Offer your life as a sacrifice. This is the true meaning of worship. Have a strong foundation on the Bible and the Word. Have a relationship with the Lord. Don't just be at church, be in church. Serve, get involved. Surround yourself with people that will push you towards Jesus. In the Bible, it never says that Christians won't encounter storms. It never says that. But what it does say is that Jesus will show up in the storm. What it does say is that he'll bring us love. What it does say is that he'll bring us peace. What it does say, he'll give us a sound mind. What it does say is that he'll be a healer. He'll be our healer. He said he'll give us a prosperous life. Have a foundation on the Word of God. Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't give in. Just keep going. You're right there. You're right on the edge of a breakthrough. Don't give in. Develop that relationship with the Lord. It's extremely important.